Good afternoon, everybody. This is Lauren Bernard. I am recording today, teaching class in a box. Oh, sorry, go back here. Okay, so we're going to be talking about teaching a class, teaching your first class. And this is primarily for those of you who have committed to the Evolve program, which is basically a training program on getting started sharing or building a doTERRA business. So my name's Lauren Bernard. I teach holistic lifestyle and yoga. And my group of community of oil users is called Awakened Seed Essence, or Essence of the Awakened Seed. And I'm a doTERRA business leader and coach and wife and mother of two, if we haven't met. But most of you who are going to be viewing this are actively participating in this journey with me and know me well. But I am recording this so that in the future, it will be a place for anyone who decides to join this journey with us has a tool for learning the ropes. So you can find me on these various ways of connecting through email or social media, YouTube, and if you have any questions at any time. So this is all about what you've been gearing up for this month of February through sampling, through inviting people. Hopefully you have on the books for March a class, either that you're hosting regularly once a week, maybe that someone has decided to host you. But for whatever reason, we're going to assume that this is your first class that you're teaching. And often those first classes come from your own home or a public place that you yourself are hosting. So if that is the case, these are the materials you want to prepare to have like in a big bin. You can throw it all in your car. Initially, the reason that I wanted to share this is because I think I've done everything more complicated than it needs to be, and it doesn't seem attainable by most people, when really I've come to find that the simpler it is, the more efficient and effective the communication of a class is, and then in nurturing people to help them on their journey in wellness. So it does not have to be complicated, which I made it too complicated in the past. So the very simple things that you'd need, assuming that this is in your own home, you don't even need to necessarily pack it up, but these are the items that you want to prepare. And if you have someone who is hosting for you, there's a few different things that we're going to talk about that you want to make sure and you prepare them for a few little things beforehand. But let's start with assuming that you're going to teach the class. You are going to need Class in a Box, which you can order through your back office at mydoterra.com. And I think it's around $25. It comes with so many awesome tools, you guys. The wild orange, it comes with 10 5-milliliter wild orange essential oils. So this is amazing because you can use these in so many different ways. Commonly, what people like to do is to use this little postcard invitation that they're giving out when they give this out to people, and let them know that for attending, that they'll be able to leave with one of these little 5-milliliter bottles of wild orange and a really beautiful living magazine, which is, I swear, it's like Martha Stewart. There's all these beautiful recipes, beautiful pictures, great stories. It's a really wonderful magazine. So just for coming and checking it out, there's no pressure. One thing to establish up front with yourself, with the people that you're inviting, or with a host who's hosting you, is to make sure you distinguish that in doTERRA, we don't do parties. It's not, though we have a network marketing business model, direct sales, multi-level marketing, whatever you want to call it, it's not a party. It can be a social gathering, which is great. but it's very different. Our business model is different, our product is different, and it requires some education in order to use it successfully, to use it safely. And that, in my team and in our culture here, is very important to me. So I make sure that I let people know it's not a party. It's not something where it's all about the hostess getting a great gift, although that is part of it. You definitely want to thank your host for hosting you and offer them something in gratitude. But it is not what it's about. If people find that this is not a fit for them, then that's totally cool. Like, we want them to come and to take whatever bit of information that they can. Ideally, though, we want people to show up that are genuinely interested, because this is something that you're walking away from your family, your time, putting time and energy into this. So we want it to be effective for you as well, and you should be compensated for your time in that manner. So setting that, if that tone is really important, that you're bringing value to people when you're teaching a class, and that, yeah, you do this as a business, but it is also because you share from your heart this knowledge and education. So okay, before, also make sure you prepare these things ahead of time. It does take a little bit of time to just gather it up, wrap your head around all these different materials that you're going to need, and then make sure that you start setting it up or arrive to your host house at least 30 minutes early. So some things that you want to make sure to do, I like to sample people beforehand. So when you're inviting them to the class with like an invitation that comes with class in the box, I'll show you. Well, there's these cute little postcard invitations. You can see it in the picture there. And you can write down the information. What I love is that I teach a class every Friday. So I can just always have these on hand, and anytime I'm out and about and it comes up that someone needs a sample of something, I have samples on me, and I have these postcards ready to go, so that I can say, well, are you just curious, like, are you open to natural forms of wellness? What do you know about essential oils? And then the conversation will start up. And have you ever tried them? Would you like a sample of peppermint? And I have a class every week. If it would be okay, I'd like to give you an invitation. So it can go down really naturally and smoothly, just depending on how that interaction goes for you. And I think it's really effective, because then when you're following up and saying, which Friday works out well for you, there's usually a spot open. And then if they're genuinely interested and that date doesn't work, you can say, well, hey, like, if you're genuinely interested, I'd be happy to meet with you one-on-one aside from that class. What time is best for you? And meet with them one-on-one. So this applies to a one-on-one as well. You'll want some of these same materials with you. So make sure you have at least a family physician kit, or your host has one that you can use. So you want at least your 10 foundational oils. You definitely want a diffuser of some kind to model that, and also a bottle of fractionated coconut oil. You, in the class in a box, you have everything that you need for 10 people to have a little takeaway. You can also use these wild orange as a drawing, or some people use them as well, like as an incentive for enrollment. So with their order of a family physician kit or something like that, they'll get to take home a wild orange and a magazine. That's completely up to you, and you can kind of feel that out. It depends on the people in the classes sometimes and your situation. It also comes, so the box itself that it comes in is great. Right on the inside, you guys, there's step 1 through 5 on how to use this kit, which is great. It gives you all kinds of details. It says step 1, using your Sharing Naturally brochure guide as a guide to prepare you to hold your class, and use the Living Magazine Class in a Box brochure as handouts. So it suggests that you use basically the handout here, and the Living Magazine is something that you would actually hand out to the people during their class. To use the remaining brochures as part of the display, the Living, Sharing, Building, and product catalog as display to familiarize with the company. Now, the other cool thing that Class in a Box comes with is a DVD. and we'll get into that a little bit more as well. You can show segments during your class. There's a lot of different things you can do with that. And then using the wild orange as an incentive, or for booking a class, or for purchasing, or for just a door prize. Now, a few other things that I suggest that you throw into your box. So right here, I have a little picture of an enter for prize drawing. So I will post, if it's not already posted in Team Evolution under files, I'll make sure and post a page of where you can print these out. You can also buy them at the Oil Life store. You can find a similar variety online and just print them off yourself, but I'll definitely post this file so that you can just print them off and cut them out, toss in at least the number of attendees or more. Just, I think it's great to have like 20 or 30 of these on hand, especially if you're teaching regular weekly classes. So toss in your drawing slips. Also, for if you happen to be doing a one-on-one with someone or having a class this month and the New Year, New You promotion is applying to you, and your class attendees, having a little something like this just came in my monthly order this month, just to remind yourself that there's a promotion going on, or make sure you make a note of whatever the specific enrollment promotion is. I also like to throw in an intro kit, as shown right here. So intro kit costs you 15 PV, $20. It comes with 5 ml lemon lavender peppermint and all kinds of great little explanation here on some uses and how you can get started with doTERRA. Comes in a great little box. This is what is a go-to host gift, and especially for your very first class where you're hosting, this is going to be the ideal offer to people for booking a class with you. So throw that in there along with a blank calendar for the month coming up. So March, for example, or if you're going to teach your class in March, you'll want it for April. Or potentially if your class is early March, you have March and April's available. Circle at least 3 or 4 dates on there that you are available to teach a class that someone else is hosting. Knowing that ahead of time, something you can pass around and say, hey, here are some dates I'm available if you would like to have an essential oil experience for your family and friends. And I would love to gift you this intro kit in gratitude. I also suggest that you throw in a bunch of Post-it notes or sticky notes for note-taking for your class, and also in preparation for yourself. We're going to create a teacher's guide. And then definitely have a reference guide of some kind available. So you can use the Modern Essentials book, the Essential Life book. Love those books for people to be able to look up things, and you can show them that they're not going to have to come to you for every little question on how to. You're also going to share with them some additional resources. Another thing that I like to do, I think I've mentioned it before, when you're sampling and inviting, is to have some little reference guides, like the A to Z guide, or I think it's called Healthy Made Simple, is a really great little brief user guide for someone who's really genuinely interested and excited about coming to your class. Okay, so that's the basics. And also pens. Pens are something, especially if you're going somewhere, the host is scrambling a lot, oftentimes getting things like set up for you. It's just easy to not have to ask them for a bunch of pens. So bring some pens, toss them in your box, keep them with you. So that's it. And then there's also some great little cards, little perforated cards that you can tear out that fit right on top of your wild orange bottles. So I like to prepare those ahead of time too. On the back it says, for more information, contact so-and-so and my essential oil tip. So write on those, have them ready to go so that you can pop them on top of your cute little bottles of wild orange, however you're going to use those. So Class in a Box is awesome. Love it. A great value, great bang for your buck. Let's talk about it a little bit more. So the reason that I'm going to suggest that our team use Class in a Box. So when I first started, I ordered a Class in a Box. I used it. I definitely used the DVD video clips, or the ones that are found on YouTube, depending on if you own a DVD player. I had a smart TV at the time that I could pull up the clips on YouTube, which I can send you a link on. I'll post that in the files as well. So I definitely used them in the beginning. So for a couple of different reasons, for just not feeling super secure in my knowledge of the product and being able to spit it all out, being kind of new to that in general. The videos can be really helpful. And it's also just, it's so easy to order this one little kit. It's really inexpensive, right? The other thing that I love about it, it's available right through your back office. So you're not having to go to any special website or pay extra shipping fees on top of things that you just add it onto your LRP order. So it's also available in nearly every international market in many different languages. So for those reasons, you know, it's created by doTERRA Corporate. You know that whatever is updated and available is always going to be compliant. And it's always going to have the updated kits and all of those things. It's just makes it super simple and easy and affordable for everyone, everywhere. And so especially as you're growing your business and the more people that you encounter, you're going to encounter very different types of people who live potentially all over the world. This keeps it simple, doable, and duplicatable, even though it's not like a real word in the English language. It's a word that is used a lot in doTERRA, meaning that in what you do in sharing doTERRA and enrolling others is something that someone else can duplicate. So if you yourself are not able to be duplicated in another person easily, this is going to be a hard business for you, as I have found. A lot of the feedback that I have gotten is like, oh, wow, like you do all these great things and, you know, I cannot be like that. So you want others to see that they themselves could do it, even if you're very different people. And Class in a Box does that. It makes it really achievable in that way. And I love that just, gosh, like I would buy this box if it had nothing but the wild orange, you guys. It's amazing. I mean, those bottles alone would be like $37 if you were to just buy that oil, if the 5 ml even was available. So it's just great. You can have those in whatever you choose to do with sharing. You can do a million things with them. It's like the box that keeps on giving. So, and all these materials can also be downloaded from doTERRA tools, and the videos are on YouTube. So, okay, I'm going to go over 3 different options for you for different type of classes that I would suggest, or what you can do with this box, and in 3 different ways. So, assuming that you're brand new to doTERRA and to sharing and to teaching, let's start there, because the first option would be, like I said, when I was new and not super comfortable with explaining what an oil is and some ways to use them, and talking about, you know, how the difference between wholesale and retail and how you would buy them, and LRP, and the company as a whole. I think before you have a really firm grasp on that, that using the DVD is amazing and using the video clips is amazing. And what's wonderful too is that you could do that online as well. So you can have a face-to-face Zoom class like this and show some YouTube clips by sharing your screen and then talking about things a little bit. So it's a great option. You can bring your laptop if you have a DVD drive, and meet someone at a library or a coffee shop and just pop on a video segment. They're like a couple minutes each. And then maybe have a little bit of conversation, use the handout, use the product guide. And what's cool is on doTERRA tools, you can find this, and I will also put this in the files section of our group. This kind of breaks it down for you on how much time you want to allocate to each thing that you're doing. The big key here, no matter how you structure your class, is to keep your class lecture content 45 minutes, at the very most like 55 minutes. I wouldn't even get it too close to an hour, because then anything beyond that, people are starting to look at their watch. They feel like the hour is like the new, like that's what you expect to give someone your time. And when you approach into anything beyond that, I always like to leave a little extra room there for questions and other little details. The time will just go by fast. So try to keep it around 45 minutes if you can, and typically you'll go over to closer to 50 or 55. But that's really where you have people's attention. So you've got to be efficient in what you share. So if you're worried about that, then using these videos is awesome. I love the one that's kind of introducing like the lifestyle of doTERRA. I love the little clips you can share on peppermint, on oregano, if you're not super sure how to get your compliant words out. And especially on how to become a wholesale customer, wellness advocate, and then LRP, of course, which is just something that I think takes a few different classes under your belt until you become really familiar with it. But if you feel confident in that, I mean, I definitely feel like I don't want you to hold back, because ideally I would like everybody to not lean on these for too long. But if you need them for a little bit, no worries. They're great and a great tool. And then the cool thing is that when you don't really need them anymore, they're awesome to pass on to someone else who's just getting started. So if you have a new sharer, a new builder, or even someone who's wanting to learn more, you can hand off these DVDs, especially because you're going to be ordering probably a lot of class in box. If you're teaching every week, I'm suggesting that you probably want to have one class in a box for every class you're going to teach. So you'll accumulate these DVDs, but they're great to hand out to people and share. So class flow option 2, which is what I suggest really for everybody. I'm going to come back to this because basically this is just using the class handout that comes in Class in a Box. It's a great little brochure, and Class in a Box has not always had this, even in the States. It used to just be the living guide, and you kind of had to use that timeline with it. And then it came with price list and sign-up sheets, but it didn't always come with this nice little brochure. So the brochure is really great. Goes through what oils are and why doTERRA, how to use them. It even has a place for us to talk about our goals and then what kind of pathways we want to take with doTERRA. It has the price list. It has, and everything's all nice and updated. All the nice new kits, all clearly laid out with everything that comes in each one. And then it also has the wholesale customer sign up and also a wellness advocate agreement for either one of those options. So you get 10 of these in your Class in a Box, which is fantastic. It's a really good value for what it is. So what I'm going to suggest, we're going to come back to this, is creating a teacher's guide with some sticky notes with a few additional things on here. But the third option that you absolutely have, because this is your business, right? I have tried so many different classes out there, and I'll just give you a quick rundown on what is out there. So there are 2 main companies that have popped up within teams since doTERRA's foundation that have kind of they have the biggest, at least from my experience, the most people are using these Terra pads. Terra pads is what's referred to as a class handout, the overall flow of the class. So one is by Edge Success. And you can look up these websites and take a look at all the little layouts and the differences between the handouts if you want to before you decide. The thing is, the only reason I would suggest this option for you is if you have been a user of doTERRA for a while, you have shared, like hosted a class or even enrolled people. Maybe you're even have some significant customer base. And you've been on this journey a little while. We've co-taught classes together. There are a couple of you who are kind of in that position. And so for you, I would say, find a class that does feel good to you. Maybe you want to try, if you've never tried Class in a Box, maybe try it once. And then if you feel like you're ready to invest in 2 things. This third option requires an additional investment in money and in time. So if you have those things and you want it to feel a little bit more authentic and have a little bit of an edge on the information that you share, and you're really comfortable at getting all of that out, then I'll tell you about a couple of different things that I've tried that I like. So let's start with, okay, you can totally do a presentation. This would be like a PowerPoint like I'm sharing with you now. This could be online, this could be in person. And I have some great slides that I've made myself that I'm happy to share with you guys and make available through the Files tab. So you can take a look at that. Natural Solutions is made by Share Success. So Share Success and Edge Success, they both have really great trainings that include everything that you would need from what I'm sharing with you today. So they talk about basically how to build the business and all the materials that you would need in between. And their class handouts are great. So Natural Solutions is a class model that you could teach. This is the My Oil class by Edge, which is nice because it is really simple. It's very similar to using Class in a Box. It just has some nice images and a few extra things that I think are really important, like pointing out the limbic system for aromatic benefits. And it's a nice little handout. I particularly like on the back side of this, the way that it describes the Lifelong Vitality Pack. But there are still a few things missing from all of these. So I'll tell you more about that. I've also taught a class that just uses product guides. So everyone gets in the class a product guide handed out to them, and you make one yourself with teacher notes on it, like just a teacher's guide. And then you make little tabs and everything so that you can flip easily and say, everybody, let's turn to this page. And those classes have been successful for me, but remember that these product guides are about $1 a piece. So oftentimes you don't get them back even if people are not interested in purchasing. So it is a little bit more of an investment. It is hard to stay under an hour with using that class, I found. So I almost prefer it to be something that you go through people in that system more of their second class, or their wellness membership overview, or their wellness consultation being the time that you go through their own product catalog that they're going to receive with their first order. It's kind of a 201 class, if you will. So another class that I had just stumbled upon was shared with me by one of our Diamond Uplines is this class called Live Naturally. So honestly, this is like super new for me. But I did recently look at this and was inspired by some of the content that is actually has graphics laid out. That's part of what I am suggesting that you share and add into your Class in a Box as like safety information and some things like that. So it's all really laid out very nicely, and there's some nice recipe protocols on here, and it's a beautiful handout. So these are $10 for, I think, a pack of 20, and then you pay shipping. So I'll post a link, and they have a Facebook group too, so you can stay in the loop. They also have a whole system, and I like this stuff. I really do like it. So you kind of have to feel into it and see what works for you, but I'm going to suggest that everyone teach Class in a Box first until they're super comfortable with it, at least a couple of classes, and so that you can teach anyone who comes to you new how to do the same, because it's attainable for everyone. Okay, and so once you feel comfortable with that and you're working with your upline, and if you decide that you want to branch out to one of these formats, then by all means give it a shot. But just remember, no matter what you do, what you teach, how you teach it, keep it simple. Keep it to 45 minutes to an hour. Keep your first introductory class simple, okay? And still bring some sticky notes for people to make notes, or a note handout, and the drawing form. Okay, so we're gonna go back to option 2, and let's see. Maybe what I'm gonna do is talk to you about this really quick. So before we go, we'll go through the whole class as though I'm teaching you. I'm going to walk you through what you're going to teach, okay? But before we do that, I want you to create a teacher's guide. So taking one of your class handouts, or you can, if you know you're going to need all 10 of them for your people, just make some copies and make yourself a guide to reference, to hold on to during class, especially if you're new. So get your sticky notes out, because we're going to make some key points about what you want to share and add to the content that's on this handout. One thing that I think is missing from pretty much all of those classes, except for that new naturally living or living naturally, is this image right here, which is called the wellness pyramid or wellness triangle or whatever you want to call it. I like to call it like, it's like scaffolding, the things that are foundational to overall wellness, right? So this is something that I discuss in the class that I'll show you where I talk about it, but this is missing. And so because it's missing, what I have done is print it out and then keep the rest of the page for note-taking for people and hand that out with the handout. Totally awesome. Or what you can do is just use stickies and then reference this in the language that you're using in one of the sections without the graphic necessarily, but you can talk about it in a discussion format. So either way, that is something that we needed to add in. So before you get started on any of the content in your class, you're going to be welcoming them, telling them that the objectives of your class, which are typically going to be, you're here tonight to learn what oils are, how and why you would use them, and how to get started on incorporating them into your holistic lifestyle for optimal wellness. And if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to share with you my story on why I do this. So what I'd like you to do is write down some key points about your story on a little sticky note so that you can practice it a few different times. You know, you might need to, like we talked about as an exercise to do this month, is to really work on revising your story so that it really comes out naturally and is going to draw people in, right? So write down some key points. Like for me, I say things like, you know, I believe people have no idea how great their body was designed to feel. And the reason that I believe that is because I've been there. I've pulled myself out of some dark places emotionally with addiction. I've also pulled myself out of a place of feeling disempowered as a parent, not knowing what to do and feeling like I didn't have the answers, and also wasn't connecting with people to get those answers for my child. You know, and I really believe that everyone deserves to feel vibrant and empowered. And so what I want to teach you today, what you're going to learn today, is going to give you these tools to help you have access to this kind of life that's fully awake, you know, awakened to your true essence, which is the whole basis of what I do and why I do it. So your story may be completely opposite, different from that, but whatever it is, you have a message to share with people. You just need to get clear on what it is that you want to say. And so if you haven't done so already, in one of the previous videos that we recorded, do the Find Your Why activity and really dig into why is it important that you share this with people? Why do you believe it? What is the belief that's hanging out underneath why you decide to get out there and put this class in a box in your car and teach a class to people? So yeah, so put your story down on some notes, and then you also want to give yourself a little bullet point that you want to open up this conversation about, like, okay, so why plants? Why are people looking to more natural forms of wellness? Why are you all here? And just kind of open up this discussion about our bodies being, you know, able to really heal themselves when they're given the right tools. And so what are some of those tools? You know, so like we have in this is what we're going to be referencing here. So we have these tools that, you know, of course, our nutrition is our absolute foundation. We are what we eat. So we know what we're supposed to do for eating right. We're supposed to eat whole foods. We're supposed to drink lots of water and stay hydrated, eat colors of the rainbow, stay away from processed foods, too much sugar, stay away from, you know, an out of balance, eating too much of one thing, right? So we know the basics, it's just doing them. So I'd like to ask people to just kind of check in with themselves without being judgmental, and just, you know, rate themselves. Where are they at today? You know, what kind of a score would you give yourself from maybe 0 to 10 in eating right? And just, you know, note it for yourself. because we have a lot of different tools that we're going to share through this lifestyle that will help you in supporting all these different things that affect one another. Okay, so, and then of course we know we need to exercise, we need to move our bodies. Our bodies were made to move, and in doing so it just affects everything. And we know we need to rest properly, we need to have a certain number of sleep. I think for adults the magic number is between 7.5 and 8 hours at night, or maybe a little bit more depending on the person. And there's so much stress in the world. Are we doing things to balance the amount of stress that we encounter? How are we managing our stress? And then reducing toxic load is something that I like to talk about. So, you know, what I do at this point, maybe what I'll do is talk to you more about the class handout. So we're going to add notes on our class handout about, we're going to add some additional notes on this very front handout about chemical complexity of oils, and add a note down at the bottom where it has aromatic, internal, topical, about dosage and max amounts. And then on the inside, so what I was just talking about is the why. Once you share your story, before you get started, I'm going to suggest that people actually open up their handout and start here. And this is where you can have your sticky note with notes on this: eat right, exercise, rest, stress management. So I've just, if you can see here, just jotted down and put some lines to remind myself that we want people to consider throughout the class those things. I'm going to back up and go step by step through this class with you guys. And then also a couple of other sticky notes on additional notes on any and all of the 10 foundational oils, and then any favorite oils and stories that you want to share yourself, or third-party stories I find are really effective when you can talk about a friend or another mom or someone else's experience with the oils. Additional notes on lifestyle foundation, so recipes, protocols, that kind of thing. And then what other products they may add into the pyramid there. Some safety notes, and then some resources. So they're going to need several different notes. And I suggest that however many you write down for yourself is how many you make sure each person has, okay? And because you're going to take them step by step through, okay, add a sticky note, we're going to make some additional notes here, okay? So let's go back. Class option 2. All right, so after you welcome them, share your objective for the class, share your story, that's when you're going to say, okay, so before we get started on talking about our main objectives, let's turn to this inside second page, looking at number 5 on improving my lifestyle. So let's talk for a minute here about why everyone, you know, is considering taking things more natural these days. Why are you here? And this is where you can get into saying, like, we know that nutrition is foundational, eating whole foods. And then you can talk about, you know, and doTERRA has some really amazing supplements that we're going to talk to tonight as well, to help boost up our nutrition and provide that really great foundation for nutrient absorption and help you just elevate that area of your life. And then if you're talking about exercise, you can say, you know, we've got some really wonderful things too that we're going to talk about tonight. So just kind of referencing this and saying, while we talk through this class tonight, while we're learning about what oils are, how to use them, why, I want you to be thinking about, it's going to feel a little overwhelming, perhaps, and just pick 3 of your health goals. So I'm going to give you a moment now, if you already know of some specific reason that brought you here, to jot it down now, how long it has been a goal. And if you kind of have an idea as you're listening that something might be a product that's going to help you reach your goals, use this place to make a note about it, or use a sticky note to jot down some notes, and then finalize your top 3 concerns so that we can work together in getting you started. This is a process that we want to make sure that you take slowly, one thing at a time. Find you're finding the benefits of before you get overwhelmed and doing a million different things, because there's a lot to learn in this class. So we're just going to keep it simple and baseline nuts and bolts today. Okay, so give them a minute to think. You can share perhaps what brought you to your first class. For me, I knew I was looking for some lavender because somebody told me that it had natural antihistamine properties, and we had a lot of seasonal threat issues in our house, particularly my little kindergartner that I just felt helpless and I wasn't meeting eye to eye on with my pediatrician. I just knew something was up, and I did not want to do the invasive stuff that they were recommending, cauterizing his nose and putting on a prescription of Singular. And I just knew there needed to be another way. And that's really what brought me to my first class. I was just looking for some lavender after I didn't get proper guidance at Whole Foods. So, and you just never know what's going to happen when you go to an oil class and what it's going to do to you. When doTERRA comes knocking, it's interesting. I would love to hear about your first class experience if we've never quite talked about it in depth before, of why you actually showed up. It'd be fun. So we can talk about that later. Then what you're going to do is go into what oils are. And literally, you guys can just read these bullet points. So, sorry about that. Okay, so you can talk about how they're naturally occurring volatile aromatic compounds. And this is where add yourself an additional sticky note. And you can say, guys, these are so chemically complex. There's multiple compounds in every oil that provide versatile support. So, for example, this is why you might notice that lavender can be wonderful for seasonal threats and also for soothing restful night's sleep. Or it can also aid in with minor burns and soothing to the skin. So it can cross over into all these different uses because of its chemical complexity. And you're very, very unlikely to develop any resistance because it's diverse in the chemical nature of it. So add a little note and put a little extra plug in there about that. It's the essential oils are found in the seeds, bark, roots, stems, flowers, other parts of the plant. Protect the plants against environmental threats, provide beneficial properties, and that they're highly concentrated when distilled for purity, potency, and efficacy. So you could talk a little bit about how they're steam distilled and how the citruses, for example, are cold pressed from the rind. Maybe at that time you want to direct them to wild orange, which is perhaps diffusing, which is something that I love to diffuse for pretty much every class. It smells so wonderful, and most people are just going to be really excited about the smell of it. And you can talk about how, when you pinch the rind of an orange, that's the essential oil. And I like to just talk a little bit more about like how amazing that is, that this is like the lifeblood of a plant. We really think about it, that the Chinese medicine, they once have historically said that they believe it to be the soul of the plant. It's amazing when you think about what just the aroma alone of a plant oils are doing for itself in deterring and attracting predators, and then the chemical makeup of it is helping the plant it's part of its immune system. It's helping it fight against threats in its environment. It's helping it thrive and live and survive and adapt. So by harnessing and extracting these essential oils, we can then use that chemical nature for our own same benefit, because we too are nature. So I like to give that a little extra bit of passion there on what oils are, but reading straight up these bullets is totally fine too. So also historically, they're used for food preparation, beauty treatment, and healthcare practices. And this is a great time to talk about frankincense, which is the king of all oils. You can just get so excited. Feel free to take the cap off and pass them around. You can pass them around, or you can just choose to pass a few. it just kind of depends on how the time is going. You guys totally keep a clock or a timer, stopwatch thing happening on your phone nearby and gauge your class and how it's pacing. It's going to go by fast. So the more you can read through this stuff, practice it in the mirror to a friend, to a child, to a husband, whatever, the better. The more efficiently it's going to flow out. So talking about frankincense, how when in doubt, you can frank out. I kind of like to use that little catchphrase. It helps people remember that if it's good enough for baby Jesus, it's good enough for me, whatever you want to say, that frankincense is something that you can go to for just about anything. It supports your overall healthy cellular function, promotes feelings of relaxation, helps reduce appearance of skin imperfections. And, you know, whatever you want to say there. I also will suggest that you make sure that you make a note about some bullet point uses like this. So if you have never seen the approved claims list for all of the oils, go check out doterratools.com and get the approved claims list. Sit down and make sure that you have bullet points on all the top 10 oils that come in the Family Essentials Kit. And you're able to articulate those, and that way you have notes to reference them in your class so that you know what you can say about each oil. And then I also highly recommend that you take the time to think about your favorite use that you've done personally, or a third party story that you know of, and say, oh my gosh, like I was talking to this mom the other day and she was telling me how much she absolutely loves to add 3 drops of frankincense to a cup of Epsom salt and baking soda and have an amazing de-stress, rejuvenating, immune boosting bath at the end of every night. And she was just going on and on, going crazy about how much of a difference it's made for her, and incorporating that into her life a few times a week. You know, something like that. Or there's so many different stories you can come up with for frankincense. So if you guys have any trouble with that, I can give you some third-party stories of my own that I'm happy to share with you. Perhaps maybe I'll do that. I'll add a file with some stories. That would be helpful for you guys. So once you go through those, then you want to go into why doTERRA essential oils. You want to talk about CPTG, go through those bullet points, that it's an empowering solution. And this too is where I would probably add more of my own personal story about how empowering it is as a mom when you know that sound of your daughter in the middle of the night is crying about a pain she's having in her ear, because every time she gets a sniffle, it turns into the ear, and then we're back with the doctor. And I mean, when I experienced that as a mom, it was like the most empowering thing ever, that on a Sunday night, I can apply some basil, some melaleuca, some lavender, fractionated coconut oil behind her ear, and know that we're not going to be sitting up in bed crying all night. I'm not going to be a zombie and freaking out until Monday when the doctor is open so that I can put some antibiotic in her. I mean, it's so empowering to know that we can have these things on hand that can ease our kiddos and our loved ones. Okay, so and then also talking about co-impact sourcing. This would be an awesome time to play a video if you're going to use one at all, to do a co-impact video so people can really see. There's some amazing, if you just go on YouTube to the regular doTERRA YouTube page, there's some awesome co-impact sourcing videos. And if you've never yourself watched them, they're amazing. They'll bring you to tears. So this is something that I always stress. This is why I choose doTERRA, because for many reasons, of course, but this is really what pulls on my heart, because you can find good quality, high priced, tested essential oils as doTERRA's are, but the heart behind this company and why they do what they do and why it's so important to them that they make these great quality oils that are safe, that are effective, but they're also concerned about the sustainability in the world, and they're also helping heal the world in these undeveloped countries, providing, empowering growers and families and communities, and giving back and bringing water to communities, building schools, partnering up with other foundations to help with really big issues in other parts of the world. I mean, I want to buy my oils from a company that's doing things like that, right? I wouldn't care about saving a couple bucks if I knew that. So make sure you emphasize that. And then how to use essential oils. Talk about aromatic, talk about internal, share those oils that it suggests. I would say passing around breathe and teaching everyone to put a drop in their hands, to cup their nose and their mouth and inhale, and ask them, oh my gosh, like, what does that do for you? And have them describe it. And how they'll probably say, oh, it's opening up my airways or something to that effect. And you can also talk about how diffusing, you know, it can also bring like this amazing, people choose to eliminate their air fresheners in their home through adding these beautiful aromas of essential oil diffusers. It replaces it, and at the same time, it reduces the toxic load. So you're not, you know, ingesting all that synthetic chemical stuff, and start there talking about the importance of that. To talk about how it's also just creating that overall mood shift in their home and can benefit everyone in the space. Then talk about internal use, and On Guard is a great oil to discuss there. I like to share that I like to add a little citrus to some water for extra cleansing, energizing experience. Then talk about topical, share with them about coconut oil and how it's always important to dilute. And here is where we can make some additional safety notes. So we want to make sure that people are aware that just because something is natural doesn't mean that it's okay to like bathe in it, right? Just because they are tested to be safe doesn't mean that in excess it would always be safe in every case. So teaching them to understand everybody's body's metabolism is different, please put an emphasis on that. So if you direct them to doTERRA Science, have them make a couple notes here. So they can find this chart all clearly laid out that they can access anytime on the appropriate desired, like ideal amount per dose for a child and for an adult. And then it'll describe the amount for aromatic, internal, topical, and also oral, meaning just like putting a drop under your tongue or drinking it in water is an oral application. And then it'll also share the maximum for the adult and the child in those categories. So just to share that with you, I'll post a link for it. But for an adult, aromatically, and a child, you can diffuse as desired all day long. Especially in, you know, wide enough space that you just put your 4 to 6 drops in whatever your diffuser recommends. Feel free to diffuse all day long, all night long. And then for internal use for an adult, 2 to 4 drops is the ideal amount to use, like say in a capsule per dose. No more, between 12 and 24 maximum in a 24-hour period. Topically, for an adult, 3 to 6 drops, ideally diluted in some coconut oil. And then maximum is 12 to 36 drops. And also for an adult, orally is 1 to 3 drops, say like in a glass of water, 4 to 18 max. So, and those are like if you're taking a 24-hour period and only doing that one application. So just know that if you're diffusing a little bit, you're doing a little internally, you know, doing a little topically, just to tell people they kind of have to, you know, stay within those parameters. And looking at the ideal dose drop and making sure that they're, you know, not dousing themselves in an hour's amount of time. It's going to be too much. You need to space it out over time. And then for a child, children should not have oils straight up orally under their tongue or in water. So they can, and children over aromatically, they can have as desired. Topically, 1 to 2 drops per application in coconut oil, typically using feet, back of the spine. Some reflex points are okay, but to definitely stay away from ears, to never put oil directly in your ears. You can put it on a cotton ball perhaps and set it in your ear. So a lot of this discussion will start to turn into probably roll-ons and how you can make things ahead of time diluted for ease, especially as a mom with kiddos. You can share some of those recipes here, just let them know you're going to get to that. And then for topically, you don't want to do more than between 3 to 12 drops maximum for children. And then internally for kiddos, it's 1 to 2 drops, and they have to be ages 6 and up for each dose, no more than 3 to 12 in a day. So this would be like if you were going to add it to a smoothie, if you were going to maybe put some lemon and some honey to soothe throat discomfort or on guard for an older child, to stay within those parameters. Okay, and then this might be a time when you do continue to talk more about safety and also photosensitivity, that if you are going to be laying out at the sun, on the sun, or spending a day at the beach, then you probably don't want to use any citrus oils topically and avoid 24 hours before you're out in the sun. Otherwise you might get some extra, your skin will be extra sensitive to burning, basically. So you can talk about roll-ons a little bit if you want to. That's what I do like about the Live Naturally guide, is that it does have a graphic on roll-ons. But I usually just have a roll-on bottle that I'll show people, like a 10 ml, and tell them if your child is under 2, to stick with about 1/4 of essential oil to 3/4 of fractionated coconut oil. If your children are between 2 and 6, to do 1/3 to 2/3 fractionated coconut oil, and over 6, about 1/2. So 6 and up to adults, 1/2 of the 10 ml with your essential oils, and then 1/2 with fractionated coconut oil. If they're not going to make roll-ons, if they're just diluting, I say like about 1 to 2 drops in at least a tablespoon of coconut oil topically. So you can talk a little bit about that. People are going to wonder, how are they going to know all this stuff? And you're going to point them to some resources. You're going to let them know that you have a Facebook page, and just add them to mine for questions or for resources. You're going to send them to a few different websites. So of course, doTERRA.com. You can send them to source2you.com, the daily drop app, and then also let them know, we have these amazing reference guides that, if you're going to call me and ask me, oh, I forgot, like, how much I'm supposed to do with this, and what I was supposed to make in that roll-on for this, just let them know that, I'm just going to probably be looking it up in this Modern Essentials book or this Essential Life book for the recipe, and show them those books, show them how they can use that for their own empowerment. Because you don't want to spend all of your time having to do this for people. You want them to learn the tools that are out there that they have at their fingertips. doTERRA Science, they can find all that information on safety and dilution, as well as just making notes here that they can reference later. But of course, you're always available, and so is anyone on my community. If you post a question, likely someone will answer it really quickly. So from that point on, you can share a few of your other oils. So you haven't talked about lavender necessarily unless it came up in conversation. Peppermints really like to share. I also like to share Digestin. I like to talk about oregano or melaleuca or both if there's time, because they're just amazing for immune support, especially if you've got mamas. So kind of evaluate the people who are there and what it is that that they're really interested in learning about, especially if your host can tell you some of that ahead of time, and you can prepare for specific stories to share with people and make sure you touch on certain oils. That's really helpful. So yeah, we can talk about, oh my gosh, if you can give them some tips on peppermint, for example, that of course you could talk about how it's equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea in 1 drop. So you can see how amazingly concentrated they are. You can, of course, it's energizing, uplifting just by the smell of it. It's cooling on the body. It'll ease some tension if you rub it on your temples a little bit. And you can tell how, breathing it in or rubbing it on the stomach would be so soothing, like drinking 28 cups of peppermint tea. But share with them a story like, you guys, I like to keep my bottle of peppermint on my bedside table so that when I wake up, I can greet the day by breathing in a few deep breaths of this energizing peppermint oil, and really gets me going. And I take it into the kitchen and start diffusing a couple drops with wild orange for my whole family to start their day off with a little extra pep, energy, and brightness. You know, sharing some practical things like that for people and how they're actually going to start to see themselves doing these things, along with sharing the oils and passing them, is really key. Okay. Then you also definitely want to talk about number 4, which is how do I establish a foundational optimal health. And this is where you can touch on more of those tiers if you haven't touched on them all yet. And go back to, you know, we know the foundation is nutrition. But the amazing thing is that when we supplement our nutrition, we're really allowing our bodies that optimal nutrition, because of the way that foods can often be stripped of nutrients through processing, through farming practices. It's really hard to eat completely whole and organic all the time. And since most people aren't able to do that, supplementation is really important to make sure you're getting the proper formulation of nutrients for you know, minerals and vitamins from whole foods, and provide optimal energy and longevity. So talk a little bit about how you get the Lifelong Vitality Pack has the vitamins, it has the omega-3, 6, and 9 that has the essential oils in it that allow you to absorb all of those important omegas. And then it has that amazing alpha CRX with wonderful antioxidants and other amazing things that are going to be helpful for digestion and all the absorption of those nutrients. And that there's also a great tummy tamer in there because of the essential oils. And people who typically get an upset stomach when taking supplements, that doesn't happen. Make sure you point out that it's doTERRA's #1 product, that they offer a money-back guarantee. So if you take it for 30 days and you see no difference and you're unhappy for whatever reason, you get all of your money back. So that says a lot about how amazing the supplements are. The science behind them is incredible. You can have them research more of it on their own if they want to through doTERRA Science. And let them know too that you can customize getting additional supplements for your whole family for various needs when you bundle them with buying these supplements regularly. So the Mito 2 Max is incredible with ginkgo biloba and ginseng and all these natural forms of energy to give you a boost so that you're not leaning on caffeine all day. I typically don't have a lot of energy in the evening. I took one before my husband signed me up in the soccer team, and took one last night, and I noticed really quickly an increase in energy and felt really, really good during the whole time of exercise in the evening. And then mention the deep blue polyphenol complex, that can be paired with the daily nutrient pack in place of alpha CRX if they want like a really more intensified polyphenol complex for if they experience a lot of inflammation. So you can point out the kids' vitamins. I definitely would suggest that you talk about Terrazyme, that you can take that with every meal for an aided digestive enzyme to help you properly digest your food, even if you're eating super clean. It's incredibly important because so much of us have a lot of stuff hanging out in our bodies from just the environment, from the lives that we lead, the technology and the stress in the world. So having some added benefits of digestion is really important. And then the PB Assist at night. Hydrating with lots of water, maybe adding a drop or 2 of citrus. And then you can talk a little bit more about, take another few moments and fill in any more of your lifestyle goals that you have for yourself. You know, if anybody mentions, you can say like, is anybody, like seriously, I started out playing soccer, so anybody exercise a lot. My places in my body were so sore today that I haven't felt in a really long time. So my deep blue is my best friend today on my shins, on my hips after a rigorous workout. Peppermint for increasing energy and stamina. And then you can talk about, okay, so like does anyone have stress and rest management as really low numbers for them? They feel the most out of balance there. Recommend the Epsom salt bath with some lavender, some frankincense, some serenity. Maybe using balance is probably one of the blends that I would talk about. I personally definitely like to touch on something with the mood properties because it's dear to my heart, and share a little bit of a story about either balance or motivate, or peace is something I like to talk about a lot. So pick one of the mood blends that is closest to your heart and how you've used it, and definitely talk about it. Talk about how when we smell something, our limbic system, our emotional seat of our brain is triggered. And that's why aromatherapy exists, really, and why it's been around and so effective is because it takes us out of our fight or flight state. So you have like the seat of your brain, that fight or flight survival mode that we get in when we're stuck in fear. We have the emotional seat of our brain, that limbic system, where all of the emotions that we store and process are there. And then you have like your critical brain, your prefrontal cortex. They, that's why that term flip your lid exists, when you like lose all like cognitive rationality and you're stuck in your emotional seat of your brain, you're in your limbic system. So when you can use something like balance to tap into your emotions, to really allow yourself to feel what it is that you're feeling, you can process it, you can metabolize those feelings. And using a little bit of balance to inhale it. I like to use it on my wrists, on my heart, and the back of my neck as needed throughout the day to manage my stress levels as stuff arises, all day. So, or if you're home or particularly struggling with things, you can do lots of different things. So let them know that if that is something that they is as a big health goal, that you'd be happy to talk with them more about all of the amazing things that essential oils can do for them and during their wellness consult. And at that time, after they've had a minute or two to jot down all their notes, say, okay, I want you to take a sticky note and write down welcome call date and put a line underneath it. And make that note there by your goals. Because what I want you to do now is you're going to take a minute or two, you're going to look at all of your notes and see if you can work with a neighbor. Make sure you have products that would aid you in reaching those goals. Maybe your neighbor needs some help and you can help them look up in a book or look through your notes that you've made on oils and teach each other about what are some things that might be helpful in their life, okay? And so this is where they're going to kind of be applying some of their knowledge that they've learned to helping each other, helping themselves figure out their top 3 needs, and then making them note their welcome call date and say, so after we get you started on these goals, whatever path we choose, whatever budget you're working with, there will be a way for you to start working on these goals today. And I want you to know that within the first couple of weeks that you have your new product of whatever it may be that fits into your life, into your budget and your lifestyle, that we're going to have a welcome call with me personally. So I want to set that up tonight because I have my calendar and want you to get some calendar dates that are good for you. And we'll go ahead and make that appointment today. And it can be a phone conversation. We can get together one-on-one. And in particular, if you do decide to get started with one of the kits and a wholesale membership, we want to make sure that you know all of the benefits and you can maximize your membership at that time, okay? So don't worry if you didn't get it all tonight, that's coming. That's the next step, okay? So, and then before you're gonna start to transition into closing your class, you're gonna talk about purchasing, how you can start incorporating these oils and products into your life towards those health goals. Now, this is the part where people get weird. Don't get weird. Just don't get weird. They know they're coming to buy something for the most part, or that there's going to be an opportunity to buy something. So don't let that get in your way, all right? Don't assume anything about anyone's financial positions. It's none of your business. You provide them with the information and they can decide what they want to buy, okay? So from this point on, there could be some discussion going on still, and you might be helping a few people, but note the time because you don't want this to go over into your hour. If they have more questions, just let them know, like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna just wrap it up. We can get to those questions after the closing of the class, and then you can come back to them. So say, okay, so would it be okay with you? I'd like to talk to you about how you purchase doTERRA essential oils. I mean, people know that these are not available in stores. They know that you have this information for them. So they need to hear it. Even at the beginning of the class, I mean, you can say like, you know, this, I'm gonna hand this out. We're gonna go through this information on here. We're gonna make notes on here. And the prices are also included because, and I'm so excited about this, you guys, when I went to my first class, I was like digging under everything. Like I was annoyed that those prices were not available. Let them know that the prices are there, and if they hear about something, you know, they might want to note it, highlight it, use it as like a wish list of something they may want to incorporate into their life, but that you're going to help guide them into what is the best way for them to start, because they want to start with those 3 goals in mind, okay? So definitely talk about that, but you might see people like flipping through and looking at the kits and stuff, and that's fine. So say, would it be okay if I talk to you about how to purchase the oils now? They're going to want to know. And just say, okay, so you can purchase them. Most people, as you would see in here, start out with a kit because doTERRA has, they know about people's goals, and they know that ideally they wanted to put together bundlesome oils that are going to meet most people's needs for various different lifestyles and reasons. So, and there's also a pretty good bang for your buck in doing that. There's a little bit of a savings. So most people get started with some kind of a kit, and we want to make sure that we find the kit that's going to best meet your needs. And that you can also build your own kit. So the kits come with what's called a wholesale member. So you can purchase them at wholesale pricing, becoming a doTERRA member. You can also purchase them at retail through myself. And I would really only say that that happens every now and then if somebody just has one oil they want to try. And they're still really new to this and still really confused. And I'm happy to help you with that tonight as well. But most people take advantage of being a doTERRA member. The benefits are the 25% below retail. You have this optional but awesome program called the Loyalty Rewards Program, which will bring you basically frequent flyer miles where you can earn free product. And it's completely optional. Make sure you point that out, that by being a member does not mean that you have to purchase something every month. It is completely optional. You have access to ordering anything anytime you want to. And if you do choose to be part of something where it's an auto ship order every month, great. And it's a really smart way to buy and get a lot of stuff for free, but it's completely optional. It's awesome. And then you can purchase monthly to receive up to 30% of your order back in product points per the frequent flyer miles program. And then your product points can be redeemed for free products. There's also what's called the Product of the Month Club as being a member, which means that on the if you order 125 PV product value, make sure you talk about that a little bit versus dollar value, as they'll start to see, and you can point out when you tell them, you know, you can buy wholesale or you can buy retail, and noticing the difference in the price there. Something I do like to point out sometimes too, if people are kind of like asking about that and bringing attention to the price list, is to ask them, like, so what's the cheapest oil doTERRA has available? So people will call out some of the citruses and lemon and orange and lemongrass and things like that. And you can say, okay, and what do you think is the most expensive? And they'll like start to notice Melissa, they'll notice frankincense and sandalwood and some of the other things like that. And you can say, so why do you think that is? Why do you think that there's such a big difference in the price? And people will usually pick up on, you know, oh, well, it's more rare, it's harder to extract, you know, those types of things make a difference in the price and how widely available it is. Point out some of the value there if that becomes a hang up for anyone, and, you know, maybe talk about sandalwood, for example. you know, the sandalwood tree lives to be like 200 years old. It has to fall naturally on its own. And only the heartwood of the tree has to be extracted. And that is where sandalwood oil is pressed from. And it's just this magical, like, special thing that you can't just put a cheap price on. You can't get that kind of a quality product at the dollar store where you find some essential oils these days. You just can't. So know that what you're buying is there's a reason why it has the price that it has. Okay, so we've talked about that. And then you can say, you know, so at this point, I just want to point out that there's usually 3 types of people that come to my classes. And, you know, those of you who are like really excited by all of this and can see some of the possibilities and maybe just still have a lot of questions, and I'm here to help you make sure that we can take a look at your goals and make sure we find a kit that's right for you. And, you know, maybe there's, and some of you who are, you know, just wanting to start out with one oilers, like I said before, the retail price, you can say, no matter what your budget is, and I'm sure there's something that's going to be a benefit to your life. And then there's people who come and are just really excited about this and immediately think about a few other people in their life, friends or family, that they would love to talk to about this. And those individuals who are inclined to share with others. So I wanted to let you know that those people can take advantage of what's called the Share program and host classes that I can come and teach for and create a beautiful oil experience. And it's a great way for you to earn free product or potentially even cash through the Share program with doTERRA. And I can also offer you a host gift as well. And then, you know, there's those of you who are looking at me thinking, you know, I would really like to do this job, you know, this job of sharing. And then you can talk a little bit about your business story and why you decided to start this business and why you love it so much, and how you love to be that person to help other people start their business and empower. I love empowering other women to do this because I think a lot of us are also typically moms and juggling a lot of different things, or have full-time other things, that are just really passionate about helping people and want to make a big difference in the world. The people that this company draws are people who are not messing around and really have a message to bring to the world through using this as a vehicle to do that. And so I am finding so much joy in helping the people who this business attracts in growing their own businesses, because actually is giving me more than I'm giving to them. So you can talk a little bit about like how, if that's you, then please let me know, and we can talk a little bit more about that at the end of the class, and point you in the right direction on what you might do, or we can set up a time to talk about that. Let them know at that time, you know, we have these, if you haven't filled it out already, if you haven't gotten your name in, we have these drawings. I want to give away a prize for you guys taking your time away from your families tonight to be here and learn, and fill in your name, your phone, your email, and then yes, no, or maybe to, I'd like more information on how to get essential oils at wholesale cost. Yes, no, or maybe I'd like more information on hosting my own class. And yes, no, or maybe I'd like more information about becoming an essential oil educator with doTERRA. And then you can do your drawing, whatever you want to give away. You can give away one of those wild orange. You can make up a little roll-on blend or whatever DIY little thing that you love. You know, a cleaning spray or a body butter or whatever it is that you'd like to make, bath salt or something like that. Sometimes I really love to give away one of these little travel keychains that comes with 8 little vials, sample vials, and I tell them I'd be happy to fill up those 8 vials with the oils of their choice as a drawing. And this is also a great incentive for some of the larger kits if you ever wanted to offer this with like a natural solutions kit. It's an effective little incentive. And at this time, you could let them know too if you have additional incentives, like, you know, if any of you want to take advantage of one of the kits, I'm also offering the wild orange in a magazine, or you know, a little roll-on that you make ahead of time, or a little owie spray or something. You can offer that as an incentive. You know, one of those reference books is also a great giveaway for hosting a class as well. So maybe people want to buy a family physician kit tonight that are interested in hosting, then this isn't necessarily going to pique their interest as much, but perhaps getting a reference book as a host gift would. So just feel that out a little bit and offer them a couple of things if you'd like. And then at that time, if you have a host, you definitely want to bring your hostess up and say, like, gosh, I'm so thankful for you, you know, allowing us to have this essential oil experience. And I wanted to gift you with your gift. And you can give them their intro kit at that time, or whatever it is that you've offered them. If it has, I kind of tell my hosts ahead of time, if their class is really successful and you have like 4 or 5 people enroll with a kit, then often I will bring a diffuser and give it to them at that time as well. So it just depends on the situation. So that is pretty much it. And then I think that's pretty much it. And at that time you can just say, okay, so go ahead and flip to the back pages. You can talk about a few of the kits. I definitely like to point out the Home Essentials kit, that the difference between the sizes in the bottles, between Family Essentials kit and the Home Essentials kit, talking about the savings there and 3 times the oil, you know, getting a free diffuser with it. And it's the kit that I started with, so I really love it. One second. And then direct them to, and you know, the family wellness kit is amazing for a young family. And I also, the new kits are just awesome. And know too that there is also the, I'm surprised it's not in here, the emotional aromatherapy kit with the diffuser is also available in the States. Surprised it's not in here. But that should be an option for you in your back office too when enrolling someone. So direct everyone to the very last 2 pages, which is wholesale customer sign up and also wellness advocate agreement. Say that most people, whether you're buying retail or wholesale, start out as customers. You can always upgrade to doing the business later, unless you know, like, I am ready to go, I want to rock this business. Then everyone is going to turn to the wholesale customer sign up. You're going to choose just basically the green information. You want to start filling that out no matter how you're buying or what you're buying. You know, you got to kind of explain this to people. They want to know what to do next. You can't just be like, okay, thanks for listening. Like, what do you want to buy? You know, it doesn't really work that way. So direct them through this. Step 1, pick your kit, put a little check mark by the box, or if you want to build your own kit, you're going to check the $35 membership and then add the products that you want. And note that some of the kits start you earning off more percentage back. You know, you can explain some of that on the other pages beforehand if you want to. With the Natural Solutions kit, you get 100 LRP points right off the bat, so makes it more like a $450 kit if you wanted to talk about that. If you know you're somebody who's ready to just do a whole makeover of your lifestyle, then that's a really awesome kit. So step 2 would be to, if you really want everything in the Natural Solutions kit like I did, but just couldn't swing it in your budget, then what's really wonderful is that you can choose one of like the Family Essentials kit or Home Essentials kit, and then go ahead and start with the wish list items that you want for your next month by selecting the LRP option. And it gives you a couple of great choices there. If you want to select one of those boxes, or just write down the products that you're wanting to write down on the next box. And you can go through, you can pick your LRP date. We want to have it shipped to your house directly. we can go ahead and get that set up for you. This is the time, if you're doing this in February with someone, you want to make sure you let them know about New Year, New You, where it's $100 enrollment, $100 LRP, gives them 100 PV points. So such a cool promo. I don't know if I don't think it's available in Australia at this time of year anyway. I'm not sure about other marketplaces if this is going to apply to you or not. And then just letting them know they got to fill in the rest of the information, credit card information, and you will plug this in online either later that night or the next day. Make sure that they sign the back and read some of the disclosure information, and you will shred this, you know, with their confidentiality and all that. If they're not comfortable with that, have a laptop with you and pull it up on mydoterra.com. If your host is going to be somebody who shares later on down the road, it's kind of nice to do some of the enrollments online. It just takes a lot of time. So handing this out is essential. Collecting people who need to give you their information and go, great. But if there are people who do want to do it online, bring your laptop and pull it up. And it's great to walk your host through how to enroll someone. So either way, that's a really good tip. One thing I like to do when someone hands me a kit order form is to say, like, you know, oh my gosh, great. So what are you most excited about your kit? What goals are you most excited about them helping you with? And jot down a couple of different things that they're having in mind what their kit's going to do for them. So that when you do, and then make sure you say, okay, and what is our date for our welcome call? And make sure you have those two things written down so that you can call and follow up and make sure that they're going to have everything that they need to meet with success with their order. I find that when you write it down, then you know, you remember, oh yeah, we had that conversation. So when you call and follow up, it's a lot more natural and seamless. Like, how's it going? How do you like the way that oil smells? And we'll talk more about the next step in following up, because you don't want to take on more enrollments than you have time to follow up and nurture through the process. Because so many things will fall through the cracks that way in customer service and nurturing people in the true service of what we do. So, okay, so basically, I think I kind of went through this. Let's just make sure that we have our outline of the class as I went through it, that I didn't miss anything. Welcome, you're going to share your story, have that talk about wellness and the different tiers that scaffold one another, the little pyramid thing on lifestyle, as you point out, number 5, and get their Post-it notes ready to go. Talk about what oils are and add the complexity of the composition and a few other little personal reasons on added to why doTERRA, how to use them safely, talk about ideal dosage and the maximums, talk about the supplements, your favorite mood oil, and any other favorite oils you wish to share, like maybe in tune or past tense or whatever it is that you love. If you want to rave for a few minutes about the On Guard cleaning concentrate or the deep blue rub or and actually in place of the deep blue oil where it talks about topical, I like to share deep blue rub and just talk about that a little bit. Or you can talk about the toothpaste, or you can talk about the new spa stuff, whatever it is that you like to talk about. And then notes on their goals, help a friend, resources, recipes. I definitely do like to make sure that people write down like different recipes, like springtime in the States, you definitely want to recommend lemon, lavender, peppermint, 2 drops each in your diffuser, or equal parts in a roll-on, half and half, or something like that for adults. Maybe a simple blend for kicking the crud, like 3 drops of On Guard, 2 drops of lemon, 1 drop of Melaleuca. You can talk about the steamy mug protocol that I love to talk about. You can talk about sleep, like diffusing 3 drops of frankincense, 2 drops of lavender, 2 drops of breathe. Give them a few recipes to start off. I think it's really nice to make sure you point some of that out through your stories. When do I purchase? Membership benefits, what path to take, add the welcome call date, 3 types of people that come, and then do your drawing, pass out the calendar for hosting. I think I mentioned that. So make sure that when, just after you do your drawing, and before you do adding your host, have your host come up for her gift, pass her on the calendar and say, if you'd like to have an oil experience, here's some dates that I'm available next month. Just write your name and your phone number down, and we'll make sure and get all the details hashed out so that you know exactly what you need to do. And yeah, that's about it. Give me 1 second, you guys. I'm so sorry to be stepping away from the computer. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up because this is taking a little longer than I expected it to. So thank you for your time in watching this. Once you enroll, you're gonna enroll, welcome to the Oily family. Go to mydoterra.com, whatever your site is. Register a new wellness advocate or wholesale customer. If you guys need any tutorials on how to do this, just talk with your Premier upline or myself, and we can make sure that you get trained on how to do this. And then send a little welcome email or text. I'm going to post a file with a good sample of what you want to make sure and do there. It's just going to, say thank you so much for your order, for your trust and your support. Here is maybe if you set up a temporary password for them, if they didn't write one down for you to plug in, let them know. Like I usually do lavender 1234 capital L. Say I set up your temporary password. Feel free to change it after you log in. Here's your ID number. You should be receiving some emails from doTERRA corporate as well. Make sure you get them connected on social media wherever you're at, maybe to the Essence of Awakened Seed page, or even the Oily Experience team page that's really active from our upline that's in the East Coast. I like to send people a handwritten note. Sometimes I've been better about it than others. And just a quick little note, like, thank you so much for your trust and support. I'm really looking forward to talking with you during our welcome call and making sure I'm excited about your journey, whatever it is that you want to say. You can include a little sample of toothpaste or shampoo or deep blue love if you like. Just a little extra touch that goes a long way. And then the next webinar that we're going to have, we're going to break down that welcome call, the follow-up, having the conversation with sharers and builders. And also we'll have a conversation about preparing your host, who's going to host you the following month. Because ideally you want to set the class up for success by preparing them properly. Of course, setting that precedence that it's not a party, that it's a class, having them reach out to making a list of people beforehand, reaching out to a lot of different people so that you get the ideal number of people in the class. Maybe you can prepare them some samples and some invitations and things like that. We'll talk about in the next webinar next week. And more of the flow, okay? So I hope that that's helpful. Do we have, let me see, is anybody on live? Stop that share and check it out back in the Zoom room. Okay, so most of you are going to be reviewing this as a recording. That's great. So I wish you a lot of luck in teaching your classes. I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, want to clarify anything, and speak directly about what's going to best meet your needs and supporting you through your first class. I'm excited for you guys. One little extra tip that I have before class is make sure you use your oils. Use your Intune. Any of the mood oils that are really helpful for you to stay grounded, to stay present with your class. Let it flow organically. Don't get too caught up in all the details of it, because sometimes every class is different, and you are just show up to serve, and the rest will come from your heart, I promise. And have fun with it. It'll be great. Don't kill yourself making peppermint brownies and doing crazy stuff like I've done in the past. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. By all means, if you do want to make some food and stuff for your class, feel free to do that. If it's like a big lot of food, try to maybe serve it at the end of the class. So after your 45 minutes has passed, and allow them to get some food and to mingle at that time, and to ask questions, take orders, and that kind of stuff is a helpful time for that, and just do beverages beforehand. Make sure you take care of yourself before you teach. Make sure you've had some movement in your day, you've had some stillness, you've hydrated, you've eaten well. It's hard to do. It's hard to do, but you guys got this. And I wish you all the success in the world. And I just know you're going to be flooded with the cool goosebump feelings of when it goes well. And it's such an adrenaline rush in the service of others too. It's a very fulfilling gig. So thanks, guys. Take care. I hope you enjoy this. And thanks for watching.